Hi, good morning students. Hope all of you are keeping fine. In the previous class, we learned the topic tenses and their usages. Now in the last class, we had completed the last part of the tenses as well, and with that completed the entire tenses. Now before moving on to the next topic, let us revise and see what are the different topics, different usages, different forms of tenses that we have learned so far. Now in a summary form, I have wrote out all the tenses, their usages, or how to use them, or how to put them into use. Now let us see, first of all it is given tenses and divisions are given, present, past, future. These are basically the three different type of tenses that we have learned so far. Whenever we speak about tenses, first of all it comes to our mind. Tenses, present tense, past tense and future tense. Now here when we are speaking, let's make a clarification on just though I have given here as present tense, past tense and future tense. If you notice here I have given past, present and future. Past, as we see, is gone here, is towards this side, past has already completed. If you take it as a journey, we see this journey and we have reached up to here. We are in this position, the present position. So past, what is over, what has taken place so far, that we call it as past, in which we have no control at all. Now we are in the present. Now from there if we move ahead, we see proceeding ahead, we have got future tense. So that is again when we say that is ahead of us, we have no surety. Future, what we think or what we assume is going to take place. Now if we speak in terms of that, we will have what is called simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. Four different forms of tenses are given here. These are all nothing new for you. These are all things which we have learned from junior classes always, but repetition makes things better. So even in the last few classes, we have been repeating this one. Simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. Now I have just simply written as simple, continuous, perfect. Now in past tense we have all these four. Present tense also we have got all these four divisions. And in future as well we have got all these divisions. So we can see it is common that in all the tenses we have got four subdivisions or different type of tenses. So it is there. So we will go on seeing one by one, though not in detail, in a summarized form. We will see what are the different type of tenses, how it is used. Now here we have got present, past and future. Three divisions I have given you. Now present tense, when we speak about present tense, we know what we are doing it at the present moment. Now just let us simply analyze and see how do we use this in our day-to-day life. Present tense, as you know, it is the base form of verb. Now when we generally say present tense, we just mean present indefinite or simple present tense. So when we are using simple present tense, we use the base form of a verb. What do you mean by the base form? Base form is a natural form. The first form, or generally we speak about a verb form when we are speaking, we say first form, second form, third form. So in other way we call it as present tense, past tense and past participle we say. So here of course we are speaking about the future, it is there. So here we use the base form, that is the original without any change. Now, for example, I have given here two words. I have given precisely. I have given you do. Generally, what we notice is in the simple present tense, either this form or this form is used. That is, we say in present tense we add s or es to the verb. S or es when it is used in singular, we take s or es. If it is in plural, we use the original form as it is. So you do. She or he, it does. So generally, does, it does, she does, he does. He does not play, she does not play, she does not eat, you do, I do, we do, they do. It goes on like this. So that changes, that is the present tense. And if we analyze, we can see there are different usages. We say about what is called universal truths, scientific truths, then habitual actions, repeated actions, and so on. So many rules we have set. These are all coming under this one, and all those rules we have already seen in detail in the previous classes. So there is no meaning in going again into that one. So in the same way, that is all about simple present tense. Then we move on to the simple past tense or indefinite tense. That is, there we use the second form of the verb. When we speak about what is called the second form of the verb, we generally speak about the past tense. The past form of the verb is used with the past tense. For example, he did. Now we don't see any change of forms in it. So whichever form it is used, whichever person it is used, you will see same form is used here. I did, you did, we did, he, she, it, they did. So same usage is given here. Again, you have to recall that this is the structure what we are seeing in the past tense, and we have already seen the rules, past habits and all actions that are in past completed immediately, or the reset what is called it comes with the adverb of time, sometimes it comes without adverb of time, and all those things we have seen. So most commonly used tense we said. So all those things comes along with simple past tense. So that is all about past tense. Then moving ahead, we have got future tense. So that is simple future. Now what did we say about future tense? The previous classes we have in detail we saw what are the different usages of future tense, what we think or assume will happen in the future, the near future. It may be something that is decided to happen in the future, near one. So whatever may be is planned. So that will take place, or something which we have no control over into this. So in all those cases we use future tense, what we want to speak, what we want to predict, assurance, all those things we use simple future. And the structure we see here, shall or will plus base form of the verb. I shall do it, he will do it. So generally the form, I will do, I shall do it, they will do it. So these are all what is called how we form in the future tense. So we have got all the three tenses in its indefinite form. Three tenses, present, past and future in the indefinite form. What form of the verb they do take? So you do, she does. So base form plus s or es if it is singular, otherwise we have got the normal form. Past tense also we said. Now we will move on to the next, that is continuous. Here we have continuous tense. Now first of all, when we say about the continuous tense, what does it mean? From the word itself, from the word continuous, or the another one more term I had used in the previous class. What was the term that we used in the previous class? Another for continuous. It is progressive tense. Progressing, going on. So here we see continuous tense. We have got present continuous, past continuous, future continuous. These three, though I have not mentioned as present, past and future, from the form of the verb it is very clear. Is, are plus verb plus ing. So that is the form what we are using here. So what is that? Is, are. Now when we speak about it, it is very clear. An action going on at the time of speaking. Just now I am speaking, you are listening. That is actually what we call it about present continuous tense. So an action going on at the time of speaking. Of course, we said many other usages, maybe at the time, may not be at the time of speaking. We said temporary actions that may not be taking place. We said about future actions that is already fixed to take place in the near future. So all those things we have used here. So generally we said continuous tense follows that structure: is, are plus the ing form of the verb. Same way, where we use these things, is, are, that will be automatically changed. This two together, it will become was, and this change into verb. That is the only difference what we are seeing in the structure. So is and are will change to was, and are will change to verb. So naturally we have got the structure was or verb plus the ing form of the verb. ing form of the verb. When ing form of the verb is given there, as it is mentioned here, and what is written here. What is that? It is continuous. It is progressive. An action, what we have spoken, it is continuing. An action will go on for a long time. Now, in this condition, when we are speaking about was or verb, it is not going on, it was going on. An action that was in continuity over a time in the past. An action or a movement or any process that was in progress, in continuity for a period of time in the past. So that is what we have spoken about: was or verb plus verbs ing. Will or shall plus be plus verbs ing form. That we have got in the future tense. Future tense speaks about what is going to be in continuity. So what is going to be in continuity in the future? Something that will be in progress in the future. So that structure is also given here. All the three examples are given here. Is going on at the time of speaking. Temporary action that may not be taking place at the time of speaking. Then was going on. Progressive actions that were in the progress. So we said an action that was going on somewhere previously in the past time. Might have been a habitual action. We said he was always grumbling in the class. Then something future, it will be raining. I think we had given the example. It will be raining when we start the journey. So something of that sort. So what we think or predict will happen in the continuity in the future. So that is all about continuous tense. All the three continuous forms are given here. So present, past and future. Here also it will be the structure what has to be followed is given here. So will be or shall be going on. So this is all about continuous tense. And rest of the rules and the usages we have already seen is already it is with you. I hope you have already written down in your copy and you are learning it. This is very important. Something which you need to keep in mind for your entire studies, entire career, entire life. If you are planning to use English. Moving further, we have got perfect tense. Again, I just written perfect tense. It can be present perfect, it can be past perfect, it can be future perfect. So let's start with has or have. Naturally, has or have, when it is used, we know that it is present tense. Now before going further with tenses, let us see when we have used this has or have, where it has to be used also. Now here I have given has singular. Whenever we are using this word has, it has to be along with singular. I hope you remember what I have said. Apart from singular, in the last class I said commonly where do we see about the usages of has? Along with generally I, we don't use, we don't use, I has, no, we has, no, you has, no, then altogether we have got only just he, she, it. He, she, it. In the present tense we have got has. He, she, it has. That means third person singular in the present tense only. That is a usage. Has is used only in third person singular in the present tense. That is a usage of has, generally we speak about. Then have, all other places except that three places what we said about third person singular, all other places we use have. That is, I have, we have, you have, they have. Generally all these areas, the verb, helping verb what is used, it is have. So very easy to remember that. Only in third person singular we have got has, all other places we use have. Then let's see, here had is given there, or let's say has plus verb plus third form of verb. Third form, generally I don't use this word as third form. What is supposed to be? Present tense, past tense and past participle. So that should be the form it has to be used there. Had, same way we have got had plus verb plus third form. Here we have given examples. I have completed my homework. Have completed. Had completed. I shall have completed my homework by this evening. So now if you notice here, had completed my homework by that time. So there is a reference is given there. Time reference is there. So when we are using, so that should be past tense. Again I am recalling to the previous class where we said the usages of has and had, has been and have been. So when we said that, I said when we are using this, generally activities completed in the past, that is activities that have both the things completed at that time. That time is a reference in the past. Then we have got future tense. I shall have. Shall or will plus have verb plus third form of that verb. So I shall have completed my homework by this evening. That is the future reference. In that future time, by that future time, I will have completed my homework. That activity will have been completed. So that is all about perfect tense. Perfect continuous. Have or has plus been plus verbs ing form. Then something I have written here, since or for. We'll come to that one. Then same way, had. Will or shall have. This is the structure of perfect continuous tense. Perfect continuous tense, we see this rather very seldom used, but still there is. I have been, he has been doing, I have been playing. Now again we said there are different usages. We said the continuity of the action may be completed by an explanation. So many examples we have given there. So that continues. Then another important point you need to keep in mind, since or for, that is used along with that one. So everywhere you will see since or for. Now since is used at a point of time. I have been learning tenses since class 3 or since this morning. 4. I have been studying tenses for 10 years, a period of time. So that is the difference. One is since is used in the point of time, from which point on which I have been doing it. The other one is period of duration, a long time. So that is basically about perfect continuous tense what we are speaking. So far what we said, this is all about tenses, and I think that is all clear to you. We have learned tenses, all the 3 tenses we have and all the 4 forms we have taken. So altogether, I think by now you are sure of tenses. Now we will move on to another topic that is also related to this one. Sequence of tenses. Now it is important that after learning tenses, we need to know where to use, which tense has to be used, what type of tense has to be used together. So now this, when we speak about what is called a sequence of tenses, that will show which are the tenses or what type of sentences has to be used. Now here we have 2 things I have mentioned here. What is called principal clause and subordinate clause. Just sequence. In the title as such, this is supposed to be, we are starting today's lesson, and I have given principal clause, subordinate clause, and in the middle, sequence of tenses. So from here we may have to assume what is the role of this one. What is principal clause? What is subordinate clause? We know that both have got a connection. So now let us see what it is. Now here comes what is actually sequence of tense is. What is sequence of tenses? So we can call it, as definition is given, sequence of tense is the principle. It is the principle according to which the tense of the verb in the subordinate clause follows the tense of the verb in the principal clause. Now here you get principal clause and subordinate clause. So what tense should be followed in the subordinate clause will be deciding here, the principal clause. So follows the tense of the verb in the principal clause. What is the tense used in the principal clause? And accordingly you have to follow the tense of the subordinate clause. That is all about. This is the basically what we are going to see. This is a very short topic. We will complete it very fast. So sequence of tense is the principle according to which the tense of the verb in subordinate clause follows the tense of the verb in the principal clause. That is the only thing which you need to keep in mind. Let's see here. He says something. What does he say? That he went to UK. He says he went to UK. Now this we will analyze with the next one. So he said that he had done his work. Now he says he went to UK. Okay, that is one form. He said that he had done his work. Okay, again we have used past tense here. Past perfect is given here, present tense, and here it is past tense. No similarity anywhere it is used. Now here we can see, okay, almost if you have recalled in the direct and indirect speech, we said same rule is applied here. He said it is past tense, so naturally here it is past perfect is used. So similarly it is used here. Now let us see what is the next one. Now here there is a rule is given. So generally we have got nearly we can say 3 rules basically for sequence of tenses. Chapter 5 it is given there in our Total English book. So if the verb in the principal clause is in the present or the future tense, the verb in the subordinate clause may be in any tense. So that was the first example which was given, that was present tense. The principal clause was in the present tense and we followed just past tense there. I went to UK or rather he went to UK. So any tense could be followed there. Any tense, present, past or future according to the sense intended by the speaker. So it can be anything. Any tense can be followed by any tense. Means if it is present or the future tense. So the first rule says if the verb in the principal clause is present or the future, the verb in the subordinate. So principal clause, present or future. Keep in mind like this: present tense, what is called principal clause, present or future. So it can be anything, any tense depending upon present or past or future according to the sense intended by the speaker. That is important. What sense you are planning to convey? What is that? We need to have what is called a meaningful sentence should be there. So naturally, what sense you are planning to convey? So depending upon that, and we can have we can use any tense there. Not anyhow any tense. Depending upon what is your intention, what you are planning to convey, what message. So that has to be depending upon the sense intended by the speaker. So that is important. So keep in mind the first rule, principal clause. If it is present or future, subordinate clause can be any tense depending upon the sense intended by the speaker. Tania says that she went to Delhi. Girl, she says that she went to Delhi. Similar to the first example what we have taken. Okay, she says that she went to Delhi. They will say that they will not betray their country. They will say, and there was the same thing. Here it was present tense, there it is past tense. It is used there. He will say that Ramesh played a trick on him. Now here it is will future tense. Here it is past tense. She will think that she walked her. Again it is future plus past tense. Now we have not any fixed rule or anything is mentioned here. So we have just followed tenses. Here it may be present tense, past tense, future tense and future tense and the past tense. So as the rule said, any tense can be used if it is present tense or future tense. Present tense, future tense can follow in any tense in the subordinate clause. Now that is the rule. Now as we see in English, a lot of exceptions are there. Now let us see, is there any exception to this one? Here you will see exception. What is the exception? So you can read and see what is the exception there. Few words are there in color. Now what does it convey? Whenever a subordinate clause expresses purpose. Now we said sense has to be conveyed. Now when we are conveying something, the sense, what is intended by the speaker, is speaking about some purpose. Why do? I have to achieve. An aim is there in our mind. So when I want to convey this kind of purpose, its verb is always in the present tense. Now rule changed. So though we said any tense can be followed by what is called present or future tense, now we said if it is conveying a purpose, the verb has to be in the present tense, even if the verb in the principal clause is present or future. So depending whether present or future, it does not matter, it has to be present tense. What is that? Now let's see. She worked hard that she may survive. He eats well that he might live. He will go to Mumbai that he may attend the meeting. He eats well, present tense, that he might. Again it is past tense. Now this should have been she works hard that she may survive. As per the rule it is coming, if sentence is okay, but as per the rule. Now he eats, it is present tense, but here we have used, we have to. He will go to Mumbai that he may attend the meeting. So he will go to Mumbai that he may attend. So he will go to Mumbai that he may attend the meeting. So we said it goes there, it has to be present tense. Here also it may live, that has to be there. It is a present. He eats well so that he may live, not may live, he may live. So that it has to be present tense as we said. Always it has to be in the present tense. So naturally it is he may live. So here also he may attend the meeting. The purpose is there. Going to Mumbai, that is to attend the meeting, he may, so he may live here. You have to see that it is may live. If the conjunction introduced in the subordinate clause, it is continuation of the first one, as exception is given there, second exception. Subordinate clause is lest. The verb in the subordinate clause has should, irrespective of the tense of the verb in the principal clause. So if it is followed by lest, clause is introducing lest. It should be, the word should will be used. That's a compulsory thing. If it is subordinate clause is lest. Let's see, he is careful lest. Now if you notice this one, we can just, as we said, just with closed eyes we can follow the rule. He should. This word has to be there. No doubt can be there. So he is careful lest he should fall. He would be careful lest he should fall. So lest is used here, lest he should fall. So naturally should will be followed. Now he was careful lest he should fall. So all this we see is used, should is there. Would is used, should is followed, was is used, should is there. In all sentences, this is a deciding fact. Whatever be it, lest is used, then whichever the tense is used here, naturally it should have should in the subordinate clause text, should. So that is given in the conjunction introducing the subordinate clause is lest. Introducing the subordinate clause is lest. Then the clause has should, irrespective of the tense of the verb in the principal clause. So that is all about it. I hope it is clear. This we have already, you should have already studied in the previous classes. Now moving on to the again one more exception. Let's see. When a subordinate clause is introduced by as though or as if, the usage is as though or as if. As though, as if, we quite often use this word. He behaves as though or as if is something. Now what tense do we use? As though is the hero of this area. We use this word. Now what are the rules we have to keep in mind when we are using this one? Past tense is generally used to indicate present tense. Keep in mind, if you are using as though or as if you are following present tense, if you are speaking about something about the present time, then you have to follow past time. Present time, then you have to use past tense. Now, then what will you do with past tense? If past tense is to be, then we have to follow past perfect. Almost like the rule what we are studying in the direct and indirect speech. You are studying past tense, then past and past will take past perfect. Same rule is used here. So present time we use past tense and past perfect to denote past time. So if you have to refer to past time, you have to use past perfect time. If you have to refer to present time, you have to use past time. So that is the exception what is given there. When subordinate clause is introduced by as though or as if, the past tense is generally used to indicate present time and past perfect is used to denote past time. Let's take an example. She treats him. This is present. Even now she is doing. She treats him as if He were her own son. Were. She did not use he was. Oh, sorry, he is. Or any of those things. She did not use. Present form is not used there. He were her own son. So that is. Then she treated him. Now here it is past tense. Here it was present tense and past is used. Here it is past tense. Treated him as if he had been. So in this place it is had been is used. Had been her own son. He behaves as though it were nothing to be ashamed of. As though he behaves. Present tense. Present form is given there as it is used here. Present tense, naturally past time has to be used. So he behaves as though it were nothing. It were nothing. He behaved as though it had been nothing to be ashamed of. He behaved, past tense. So we said, if you are referring to what is called the present time, you have to use past tense. If you are referring to past time, then you have to refer or then you have to use past perfect tense. I hope it is clear to you. So you just apply this rule, keep in mind and just apply this one. What you are trying to refer. Okay, immediately follow the rule. Okay, if it's clear, we will move on to the next one. Rule 2. Moving on to rule 2. If the verb in the principal clause is past tense, the verb in the subordinate clause will be in the corresponding past tense. Now we have already spoken about what is called in the first rule. We said if it is present or future tense, we said any tense can be followed by any tense, present, past or future as the sense intended by the speaker, we said. Now in this sense we are speaking about what is left behind. Now what is left behind? What was left behind was only the past tense. Now if it is past tense, again I am going back to direct and indirect speech where the reference is given. If it is past tense, if the reporting verb is in the past tense, we said it follows the corresponding past tense. In the same way, it will follow if the principal clause is in the past tense, the verb in the subordinate clause will be in the corresponding past tense. It will be in the corresponding past tense. So now let's take examples for that. The train had left before I reached the station. So two activities what we are speaking about. The train had left before I reached the station. I knew that Ayush wanted to eat an apple. I knew he wanted. Train had left before I reached the station. All past and corresponding past tense is used there. He was telling us that he knew the secret of his friend. Was telling. He knew. Again, past form is used there. She knew that he would go to forget another thing. So what a person know something about. She told me that it had been raining for 2 hours. Told me that corresponding past tense is used there. Had been past tense is used here. Would past form is used. Knew. Wanted. All this past form is used. So if it is past tense, it has to be somewhere the corresponding past tense has to be used. So very simple rule is used here. So the second rule says, first rule we said if it is present or future, any tense will be followed by any tense according to the sense. Now here past tense, any one of the corresponding past form has to be used. Exception again. We are seeing lot exception. One rule, 2, 3 exception. Again, second rule, exception is coming. Let's see. A past tense the principal clause may be followed by a present tense in the subordinate clause when the subordinate clause expresses some habitual or universal fact. So that is a very common thing. We said habitual action, universal truth that always remain in the present tense. Almost like in the tense when we studied quotations and all when we are speaking, even if the person is no more, we use it in the present tense. In the same way, if we are speaking about universal truth or habitual actions, we use respective of the tense in the principal clause, we follow what is called a present tense. Our teacher said that the earth revolves. The earth revolves. It is a continuous action going on. We know that it goes on always non-stop. So therefore our teacher said that the earth revolves around the sun. So we will not say the earth revolved or anything. Irrespective of the rule, here we use a present tense. He learned from his experience that pride has a fall. Pride has a fall. We know what is meant by that one. Pride has a fall. One day you will experience what it is. That is, it is mentioned here. He learned from his experience. Pride has a fall. Present tense is used here. The saint said that all men are mortal. All men are mortal. One day all of us will die. That's the only thing what we know. So all men are mortal. Not all men were mortal. People who are alive, they will die. It's about so that fact remains always. Therefore, whenever we use whatever be the tense given in the primary or the principal clause, does not affect subordinate clause. Always will remain present tense. When the subordinate clause is introduced by some conjunctions of comparison, example, that. Generally we use, this is the word that we use for comparison, than. Any tense can be followed by any tense, the rough way we can call it. Any tense can be followed by any tense. We need not worry. So whatever we write, we can say it will go correct. So that is a free attempt we have given. So we almost like in cricket what we say, a free hit is given. You won't become out. Something of that sort. Any tense may be followed by. See here, let's take the example. He respected you better than he respects me. Respected you. He respected you better than he respects me. So example is given. Past tense and present tense. Now in the second sentence we see, he respects you better than he respected me. So here, first one is here as given us what is called present tense, and here it is past tense. Whereas in the first one, primary clause or the what is called main clause was in the past tense, subordinate clause was in the present tense. Just opposite we are using. He has respected you. Perfect tense is used. Has respected me better than he respects me. He will respect you better than he has respected me. So almost all the tenses we can use like this. We need not worry so much about what is the tense in the main clause or principal clause. Whatever be the clause, we can use any tense. Rule 3. What is it? When the subordinate clause is introduced by a conjunction of purpose that, such as that or less, the following rules are observed. If the verb in the principal clause is in the past tense, the verb in the subordinate clause is expressed by might. Past tense, might is used. For example, I worked hard that I might win the prize. I had worked hard that I might win the exam. I was working hard that I might win the exam. So here, as we said, past tense of the verb in the subordinate clause is expressed by might. Subordinate clause is expressed by might. I hope it is clear. If the verb is in the principal clause is in the present or future tense, the verb in the subordinate clause is expressed by may. So what was past tense is might. Now here present or future, it will be expressed by may. I work hard that I may win the prize. I work hard that I may win the prize. I have worked hard that I may win the exam. I am working hard that I may win the exam. So all different usages we have seen here. So if it is present or future tense, the verb in the subordinate clause is expressed by may. If it is past tense, subordinate clause will be expressed by might. I hope that is clear to you. So far what we said. So we started off with the revision of tenses. Then we said about the sequence of tenses. What is the definition of sequence? And we said it is nothing but what tense should be followed in the subordinate clause. The principal clause decide what tense should be in the subordinate clause. Then we said we said about two rules. First one we said if it is present or future, any tense can be used depending upon the sense. Then we said exceptions. We said if it is purpose is given, then it has to be present tense, and we said like that. Then moved on to the second one about the past tense. Past tense, it has to be corresponding past tense. Then again we said about universal truth and all those things. Then exceptions are there. Then we said about third one. We said about what is called if it is purpose is there, may or might is used. So, and that was all about sequence of tenses what we said. I think that is clear. So this sequence of tenses is also very important topic in our classes, or whatever we are writing. We have to follow certain things, certain rules that will help you whenever we are in doubt which tense has to be followed after this, if the main clause is in whichever tense may be. I hope it is clear. Let's learn our daily lessons. I hope all of you are doing that one. Just a reminder for you. Let's learn whatever we are learning daily. Don't think that I am sitting at home simply. Nobody is watching. Nobody is checking my homework. If you notice, if you go through the Total English book, you will see you have covered up to chapter 5. The main things, now of course the writing part is remaining there. So writing part we will see in another class. I expect that you do all the exercises what are given there. Practice papers are given there. Practice papers, of course, we will check it in the class when we come by. So make sure that by the time you complete all these chapters, up to chapter 5 we have completed now. Make sure as we proceed you do all the daily one practice papers, you do it, so that we can complete our lessons on time. Thank you. Hope that you are enjoying the classes. Have a nice day.